Hello guys, welcome back to our channel. If you are new here, I'm Leanne and this is Baby Bell. On this channel we talk about all things mum and baby toddler related, and today I want to share with you some breastfeeding tips. So the things that I wish I knew before I started breastfeeding, the things that I've learned along the way. So not just the how to get the perfect latch and stuff, but the sort of thing that you don't even really think about. So you hear so much about how hard breastfeeding is, but nobody actually ever tells you why it's hard. Like when I said originally that I wanted to breastfeed, and I said that from the moment I knew that I was pregnant, everyone was like, oh, it's too hard, you'll soon give up, just give them formula, it's so much easier. And it's like, why? Why are you trying to sabotage this journey before it's even begun? And it's like they're setting you up to fail before you've even started. Now, our journey was hard. We found breastfeeding hard. If you've seen our breastfeeding journey, you'll know exactly what happened there. If you haven't, I'll link it down below so that you can watch it if you want to. But we're almost 16 months in now, so I thought I'd share what I've learned along the way. I did loads of research before I started breastfeeding, but I didn't really watch any videos of people's real life examples, and I think when you're researching as well, it's kind of easy to go, oh yeah, that won't happen to me. But I thought I'd share what I've learned in the hope that it might help you if you are breastfeeding or if you're trying to decide to breastfeed. Support is the most important thing. Support from people who are trained in breastfeeding, people who know how to get the correct latch, people who know how to check for tongue ties. Oh, hello. How are you? Midwives and midwife support workers and everything like that, they're not usually trained in lactation. They're not usually trained to be able to pick up tongue ties and everything. Now, I was told by 3 separate people while we were still in the labour ward that Baby Bell didn't have a tongue tie, and it actually turned out that she did have a tongue tie, a very severe one, when we went to see a tongue tie consultant. So although midwives and that are there to try and help, they're not always trained in breastfeeding. So if you feel like something isn't working for you, it is always best to ask to speak to the infant feeding team, or there is support online from Facebook groups like Breastfeeding and Lactation Support UK and Boob on Instagram. There's loads of different ones, but support is the most important thing. And then you need support from your partner and your family. Breastfeeding does take up a lot of time to start with. Even now it still takes up quite a bit of time. So you need somebody there who can make your food for you, who can bring you snacks, who can keep on top of the housework. I mean, there are ways that you can do that. You can wear your baby and go around and clean and stuff. But to start with, when you first come out of hospital, you might need a bit of recovery time, and you definitely need that support there. Can you see you? Can you see mummy? And if your partner's there to change nappies and do bath time and just give the baby a snuggle while you have a 5-minute break. You're so noisy. Breastfeeding might be like the most natural thing in the world, but it is still a skill that you need to practice. So if you don't get it straight away, it doesn't mean that your journey is over. It doesn't mean that you failed. I've seen so many things on Instagram and videos on here from women who said that they've had to go on to combi feeding, or they've had to give up breastfeeding because they weren't feeding enough because their baby was on them all the time, or when they pump, hardly anything was coming out. Now, babies cluster feed. They cluster feed in the early days. They also cluster feed as well when they're teething or when they're not feeling well as they get older. So a baby feeding constantly doesn't mean that they're not getting enough from you. Cluster feeding is a thing that they do, and it's completely normal. They are getting enough, or they should be getting enough. And the way to tell that is from how many wet and dirty nappies they're having. They should be having at least 5 or 6 a day, I think, but I will link down the proper information in the description so that you can see it. I'm not qualified in any of this sort of thing, so I will link some proper science down there. And pumping as well. How much you pump isn't an indication of how much milk you're producing. Babies are experts at getting milk out, or at least they're designed to be. So just because you might only be pumping half an ounce doesn't mean that that's all your baby's getting. So it doesn't mean that your journey's failed if your baby's feeding all the time or it looks like you're not getting anything out. That is normal. That is completely normal. And again, reach out to a lactation consultant or one of the groups that I mentioned, and I'll link those down below as well so that you can find them easily. The best way to increase your milk supply is to keep putting your baby to your boob. Now, I've seen loads of like ridiculously expensive lactation cookies and special supplements to increase your supply and everything, and that might have a tiny bit of truth behind it, but mostly it's just a really expensive gimmick. The best way to get milk out and to increase your supply is for your baby to be on the boob and skin to skin, and there's nothing nicer than just snuggling up with your baby there. They can feed whenever they need to, and it's just the best way. It's the best way for you, it's the best way for them, and it was designed to be a good experience. Master the sideline feeding position and learn about safe co-sleeping as well. Now you might be like, no, I'm not going to co-sleep, I'm not doing it, I don't think it's safe, I don't understand how to do it. But there is a possibility or a probability that you will do it at least once. Baby Belle was in the next to me to start with, and then as she got older she gradually spent more and more time in bed with us, and until we just co-sleep, and it's so much easier. I wish I'd mastered the sideline feed earlier, but we do that now. She still wakes up in the night and she helps herself to a snack. I don't even notice half the time. So safe co-sleeping. I'll link to the Lullaby Trust down below as well, and the sideline position is amazing. It, like, breast sleeping is a thing, and it just helps everybody get more sleep basically. You don't need to get up, get the baby out. It's just, I wish I knew about it before like 5 or 6 months. Invest in some comfy nursing bras. So for me, I've had to wear a bra sort of like most of the time because I do still leak now. You are very noisy. Pick the noisiest toys. I do still leak now, so I do have to wear a bra like pretty much all of the time, and comfy ones are really important. I've got some sort of like crop top kind of ones for night time from Primark, but during the day. I've talked about these in one of my Can I Breastfeed in It videos, and they're from Amazon and they're just really comfortable. They're fantastic. Like I said, I wear them all the time, but they are really important. You will also need nipple pads or breast pads, whatever it is that you want to call them, in the beginning, and quite possibly throughout your entire journey, because I do have quite a strong letdown, and nipple cream as well. So you'll hear a lot of people say that breastfeeding shouldn't hurt if you're doing it right, but your nipples are going to take a bit of a battering to start with. They're probably not used to it, so they are going to take a bit of a battering. They do get quite sore. Sometimes they can crack and bleed. So nipple cream, definitely invest in some decent ones of that. Lanaso was amazing for me. Lanaso? It's in a purple box. That one's really good. Nursing clothes aren't essential. Nursing clothes are quite expensive, and some of them are really good because they're really discreet, but they aren't necessarily essential. Again, I've mentioned my Can I Breastfeed in It video, and it's just basically clothes that are easy to breastfeed in but are just normal everyday clothes. So for example, this top that I'm wearing, I can breastfeed in this. Anything buttoned down, zipped through, that sort of thing. But nursing clothes, expensive nursing clothes, aren't a necessity. Obviously if you do want to get some, there are some amazing ones out there, but you don't have to if you haven't got the budget for it. I mentioned just a minute ago letdown, and I didn't really have any idea what that was. So basically letdown is when the milk starts flowing, and I don't know what it's like for everyone, but if you've got a fast letdown and your baby pulls off during the letdown, you get a boob fountain. Now, the first time it happened, I was like, oh my God, what's going on? And it literally, the milk just sprays out, and it can go probably like a metre. It's like up in the air and out everywhere, and that to me was like a really big surprise. So if that happens, don't be surprised. I'm assuming it's normal. It's happened to me, and I hear people talk about letdown as well. So that was definitely a shock, and you can also feel it as well. It's like a tingly feeling. We got a crazy baby. And some breastfed babies need to be burped and some don't. Now, when we first started our journey and I was expressing and Baby Belle was feeding from a bottle, what are you doing in the fireplace? She did need to be burped, but once she started direct nursing, she didn't need to be burped at all. And if you've got a correct latch, then the baby shouldn't be taking in air and shouldn't really need burping. But again, like I said, I'm not an expert in this, but not every single breastfed baby will need burping, and some definitely will. This is another thing that I've heard of quite a few times, and needing medication doesn't necessarily mean that you need to stop breastfeeding. Now again, a lot of GPs aren't qualified in breastfeeding advice, and there is a website called the Breastfeeding Network. There's a lady on there, Dr. Wendy someone, who is qualified in all of that, and you can go on and you can check to see if medication that you're being told that you need is compatible with breastfeeding. So you hear a lot of the time that you can't have antidepressants, or you can't have any anaesthetic or antibiotics or anything like that. Now there are a lot that you can have when you're breastfeeding. So if you are told you need medication, it doesn't mean that your journey is over. And again, I'll link that down below so that you can find that website. Now there's a lot of nonsense out there about what you can and can't eat whilst breastfeeding. I've seen things that say that you can't have any caffeine, you can't have any alcohol, you can't have fizzy drinks, you can't eat onion. Most food doesn't affect breastfeeding. Obviously there are some things. I think there's guidelines on how much fish you should eat because of mercury levels. Obviously alcohol, the NHS website advises against any alcohol, but that is to do with a safety thing more than the amount of alcohol that goes into the milk. What are you doing? There are a lot of qualified, Baby Bell's got my purse, she's emptying it out. There are a lot of qualified lactation consultants that can give you more information on that sort of thing. But the one thing I will say is never bed share if you've had a drink or if you've taken any medicine that makes you drowsy. It's not safe to do that. But food wise, you can pretty much eat anything. I mean, obviously if you start to suspect a CMPA, which is milk protein allergy or something like that, milk protein allergy, then you will obviously need to have a look at what you're eating. But I've read some articles recently that did say stupid things like you can't have fizzy drinks, which is rubbish. You can have fizzy drinks. You'll probably be starving and really thirsty. That's one thing I wasn't expecting. I knew, thank you, I knew that I would need to drink more. Obviously breast milk is made from your blood, it's mostly made of water, so it's going to take water out of you, but I didn't realise how hungry I would be. And also as well, breastfeeding doesn't necessarily mean that you will lose weight. Now that's another thing that's been in the news in the last couple of weeks. Breastfeeding does use up 500 extra calories, but it's very, very easy to just sit there and eat those 500 calories while you're feeding your baby. Obviously to lose weight you need to be obviously to lose weight you need to be consuming less than you use. And breastfeeding doesn't automatically mean that you are going to do that. Oh, are you taking over the video? Yeah, I'm almost done. I'm almost done. And my last tip is to get yourself like a breastfeeding caddy. Get an extra long phone charger, get yourself some snacks, make sure you've got a water bottle, get a decent Netflix series or podcast or book or YouTube videos. Oh, thank you. And just chill out and make the most of snuggling up with your baby. It is a commitment. Breastfeeding is a commitment to your baby, especially if they don't take a bottle or you don't want to give them a bottle. But it doesn't mean that it all has to be on you, and there are so many ways that people can help out. You'll get people that say, oh, well, how is so-and-so going to bond with the baby if you're breastfeeding? Baby Bell has a fantastic bond with her dad. He's always done bath time, he does nappy changes when he's not at work, he plays with her, he snuggles her. So you're always going to get negative people. I don't understand why. I don't know if it's a jealousy thing because they haven't done it or because they don't understand it. But if you want to do it, get the support that you need. Oh, if you got rainbow boobies. Oh wow, thanks. Get the support. As I said, I'll link all of the websites and Facebook groups and everything that I've mentioned below, and good luck with it. As usual, we really hope you enjoyed this video and found it useful. If you did, don't forget to leave us a like and a comment and hit that subscribe button. It makes us really happy and it lets YouTube know that the video is worth showing to other people. We'll see you next time. Say bye. Are you going to wave? You are mad.